Sounds good?
Sorry to all the guests who are joining. I hope that you're now seeing us and you're going to be actually part of this conversation.
Nice.
So when we called last week, I told you why I started Human Mode. Like, the idea is that I work with so many leaders and so many teams, and I see a lot of overwhelm over the idea of AI and the future of work. Like, specifically leaders, they need to perform and transform at the same time. We're working in like old systems, but then we need to perform on the old systems, but at the same time, doing like these transformations for what's coming. And so many people that I talk to, they have this FOBO, the fear of like, becoming irrelevant. So the idea is that, but it's not probably the case. Definitely there is a big transformation ahead of us. But I thought that by talking to tech founders, to organizational thinkers, futurists, we can just lay out a few action plans, but more importantly, mindset shift so
Okay.
that we can start preparing for what's coming. So thank you so much for joining Human Mode. You are the founder and CEO of NexScale, which is, like a company dedicated to enabling small, non-technical, small business owners grow faster and better through a customized and affordable AI automation. This is your third venture. You've been in the world of technology forever. So I love actually, I'm super excited about this conversation. And I want to jump in on like something that I hear a lot, a comparison between internet era and now the AI. Like so many people are saying that this is amazing. This is the same thing. Instead of writing mails, we're going to writing emails. Like, how can we somehow compare the disruption of these two systems?
Right. First of all, thank you very much, Nogol, for having me. It's a pleasure to talk on this very interesting topic, I would say. And hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm sorry for the delay. It's just a fun part of any live event or demo usually happens.
Exactly.
I understand. I have been, I think, nearly also 2 decades, being in the role of the, product, either building companies or products and selling from the enterprise side. And I have been, CPO in a company, and I have been struggling with the transformation and the demand of that. So I fully understand the leaders out there being concerned and anxious on, while they, exactly as you said, day to day, they need to operate, but they need to also have a very long-term kind of vision and a strategy for things that are coming. To answer your question, I actually, the purpose of me founding NexScale is really to the fact that things are very different these days. These are very different these years, I would say. I see AI becoming the new utility for us, and it's like us now building appliances on top of the utility that we have. And I actually see it in a very positive way. I'm an optimistic for technology. I always believe that the future is better than what we think. This is always my my true belief. The way I see is that applications like ChatGPT, companies like OpenAI and others, they actually make the AI very accessible for us. Maybe back then, when you talk about AI, there are a certain group of people, maybe machine learning engineers and deep expert in the domain to experience AI. What does it mean? How to train the model? They were all talking about the difficulties of tuning it, and all the metrics around the accuracy of the model, and then very niche applications that can be applied here and there. But now it's very accessible that my dad in a small city in Iran, he interprets his blood test result with ChatGPT. And yes, AI hallucinate, AI has a lot of, still shortcomings, but the point is accessibility. And I think we as leaders need to leverage this as the fact that this is not scary in my view anymore. to look at the AI as something which is very mysterious. And this way, I think these days it has been demystified, and we need to use this as bringing this also is accessible as utility to all of us, and now it's up to us to move this uncertainty phase, move from this uncertainty phase to an execution phase. That now we try to build that transformation plan with the fact of, okay, what are the areas in our day-to-day, what are the areas in our processes that we need to look into to say, what are the problems, what are the repetitive tasks, what are the things that honestly we can just delegate, and then we reskill our team. It's not about laying off people, it's not about replacing people, it's about reskilling, it's about focusing on the right thing. And I would say, as leaders, what I would suggest honestly to do is just try to make the very next step right. When we are kind of living in a very uncertain world, which we are living right now, this is at least my strategy as an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs who are out there, they know that they are living in uncertainty like every second of their lives. And if you are not fine with dealing with that uncertainty, it's gonna be very overwhelming for you. And so to me, entrepreneurs are less anxious, but leaders who are leading big teams or leading as part of the organizations, because maybe they haven't, especially the ones that have been very much on top of their work, they have been leading the teams very effectively, now it comes to that big level of uncertainty that they can't handle. And I would say the best way to handle that level of uncertainty is to just educate yourself to make the right decision. Just one step. The next various step, make that right. And then when you are like in a dark, how do you walk? You just try to have the very next step right. And then from that next step, you make the right decision again. And I think given the fact that we have such maybe minimum amount of data points on our disposal right now as a leader, let's say try to educate yourself, but at the end, you have certain data points. Make your decision based on these data points and try not to judge yourself in the next month or 3 months and saying, okay, I should have done a better job. But you had that information back then. So I personally have a lot of empathy for the decisions I made in the past, because I try to do my best and just make that one decision, one step right. So that's my big suggestion, recommendation for leaders who are probably anxious due to the uncertainty and due to the fact that things are very unclear.
Like, I love everything that you're sharing, and I totally agree with you. But like that gentleness, that self-compassion towards ourselves and our teams, that idea that we might make a mistake along the way. In so many organizations that we see, it's conflicting with the concept of performance. Like something that I'm hearing all the time from our guests, you're the fifth person I'm talking to, is the idea of experimentation, allowing ourselves a bit of space for making errors, working with our data that we have in hand, iterate as we move forward. But this is not that mindset that the leaders grew up with, or like they're functioning now. How can we create that startup entrepreneurship, failing fast, learning from it, into established systems?
Right, very good question. I believe that all of us at every single day, especially leaders, they need to start with an end in mind. That means a very outcome-driven mindset. So the point is, if you focus on problems, and then we want to say what would be the outcome that we want to achieve, resolving those problems, regardless of the technology we use. I think there are a lot of distractions these days on the technology side of things. Mm-hmm. And it's very important for us as leaders or owners, small business owners, that they have like probably many hats to wear, like me right now as a founder, that I have so many hats. The things that's very important for us is to stay focused on the problems and then see what would be the best way to solve that problem. And then if leveraging technologies, including AI, including advisors, including consultants, including building the team, whatever it takes to resolve that problem to achieve our outcome, which we have defined beginning of the road, I would say things are much clearer. The way that I think maybe some leaders get lost, in my view, is that so they want to say, okay, they want to go and report to the board, or they want to like bring and saying, okay, we are using this technology, we're using this technology. So we get in love with the technology, or we get excited with the technology, and we kind of, in my view, we lose our eye on the outcome that we wanted to achieve, or the problem that we want to solve. We are still, all of us, gonna stay in the business as long as we achieve our outcomes, especially for small businesses and startups. This range of being resilient is much probably lower, because, well, I'm bootstrapping, let's say, my company. Some other people have raised a little bit of money. Like, we need to live with that, right? And if we don't achieve our goal that we have defined, maybe for the fundraising, which is the outcome that we have defined beginning of the road, well, we fail. And like, being bankrupted doesn't matter to say, I have made the right decision, I use the right technology. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you failed. So the way that I would say also, even because I was in a scale up and I was trying to make exactly this kind of the same mindset. I was telling my team of like, okay, so what if we don't achieve our outcome, and we had tried this and technology, but then at the end of the day we are bankrupted as a line of business, for instance, here, right? So I think that would help them again to stay focused, problem side, understand the pains, and then understand what would be the way to solve this problem with all these tools that is in our disposal right now. I think what it's changed, as I said, now we have utility, AI, we have affluences, and we can just get things done faster and better. So it's not about that we are now distracted, things are so different, but it's just like we have better tools to use, and try to augment yourself, try to re-skill your team if that's needed for solving that problem. This is the way I see.
I love it, Soodeh, coming from someone who's like I would say tech savvy or like technology lover, this idea that not all the answers go through technology. Because I guess that we are exactly living that world that we're just obsessed with the idea of integrating a new tool, integrating new technology. And to your point, we lose sight so many times. So the idea of looking at AI as a utility, I love this. So it's like water, it's like gas, but then look at the appliances, the tools that we can use, like we can build through AI in order to solve some of our problems. And some of them might not be solved. I actually absolutely love this, because I think that so many of our overwhelm comes from this idea that where is our like digital and technological transformation? Like, where is that? And we just lose sight of like what we're trying to solve. Another
Yes.
question that I want to ask you is, we're talking a lot about reskilling, and at the same time, the company you're starting is just gonna, you're looking at, when we started and now you're talking about it, and when we talked last time, you talk a lot about AI as a tool and not as a replacement. So I want you to elaborate a bit on that. And I also want to say that what are those reskilling? What are those new skills that as leaders and as teams we need to somehow embrace and we need to learn in order to be able to work with AI?
Sure. So let me kind of get some definition here, define, because then it might help us down the road. So the way I see the landscape of the tools or softwares are changing is that back then we had software that you need to, define all the instructions and define all the very rigid steps for them, so that the user goes and find the input and go through all the steps to make it get the result. It's like the promise of SaaS is accessible everywhere across the internet, the data is in the cloud, all good, right? But it needs a very rigid engineering to make exactly what you need to kind of achieve, right? So that needs to be built. Now, the way that AI comes, and the way that actually I call it now AI agents, but I don't want people to be scared of AI agents. The way I see AI agents are just autonomous now a piece of software that they have more context, they have memory, they learn over time, and they can do actions on your behalf, right? So this like more, they are more empowered, I would say, to handle a lot of more complex situation without having the exact step-by-step guidelines. So if you want to compare it, to me now, all those SaaS solutions out there, they can be tools for this AI agents to leverage. But then that agent has his own brain, can make decisions, and that you can feed that context to. But then it can make things done on your behalf versus just being engineered exactly. So if there are like corner cases, it can handle it. So if you look at it like this, then the way that you need to work with those AI agents, you need to consider those, in my view, like your partner. So it's like your chief of staff. You have a chief of staff, is smart, is an expert in the domain, which is, I big time believe in that. And it knows your workflows, and it's integrated with your workflows. So we're going to talk about change management as another probably area that there are a lot of anxiety around. So imagine that these agents are customized, built for your business, and are integrated with your workflow and day to day. Now you have a partner that you can delegate things for, right? So then if the combination of this kind of, you have now chief of staff, it's yourself, what would be the areas in your business that you perform very well, and now you can delegate other things to the AI agent that you have, so that just like you can scale without adding more headcount or operation cost to your budget. The way I see it is actually very, very focused on soft skills. I'm a big believer of soft skill. I had even last year had a talk around the power of soft skills versus hard skills, especially for product people, but also for owners, for entrepreneurs, I would say. So to me, reskilling means that go and focus on your emotional intelligence, go and focus on curiosity, go and focus on your actually creativity, go and focus on your critical thinking, go and focus on building an analytics mind, because now you are the one as a smart leader to delegate better to your partner that you have. You don't need to do a lot of manual, boring things anymore. Now you need to leverage this person, but you need to have very strong soft skills to be able to do so. So to me, that is like, it's not 100%. So of course there are areas like accounting. Of course you need to have technical fluency there. I'm not dismissing that, but I'm just saying that overall the big picture is that we are the one having all of our senses. We have 5 senses. AI has now barely like 2 or 3 of them, right? So if at the time that AI gets all the senses right, the taste, the smell, the touch, then I mean listening now has, sight it has, and those type of things. But if it gets all of our senses, then I would come and say, okay, now that it has all of it, now what would be the other level of soft skills that we would need? But till to get to that level, I think with all of our senses, our perception of the world is very different, and it should be. So we should focus on those. Like if building relationship with our clients and bringing that loyalty to our brand is very key, let us focus on that. And then if, for instance, I'm working with real estate agents, they need to do a property valuation, for instance. That's a skill that absolutely your AI agent business partner can do. So leverage that and you validate it, you review it versus putting like 3 hours to do all the comparable and so forth, right? That's like embracing the technology, using it as a tool for yourself to prepare yourself for scale. And that is the promise again. The way I see businesses is that the first time you ask the question of how do I see it versus e-commerce boom, I think to me, whoever embraced the technology gonna be the winner. If you are scared of it, if you look at it from an insecurity lens or a scarcity mindset, long term, you might not be the winner in that game. I'm not saying, I'm not like scaring people. Well, I'm just saying that go with an abundance mindset. Well, say, okay, I have now utility. There are a lot of appliances coming. I can build my own even appliances, leveraging a skill or, I don't know, tools that are at my disposal. Is that a company? Is that a team I build? Is that an advisor? Is that working with experts like us that work with non-technical small businesses? Whatever it takes for you to embrace the technology, and that would be your value proposition's long ride. That would be an e-commerce company that will thrive versus another one that's gonna struggle to keep its margin right after not being open to e-commerce. You can't ignore the technological advancement, right?
I mean, I totally agree with you, and I think that that will bring actually more basically anxiety and more like that scarcity mindset. But you talked about soft skills, which is basically our expertise, Um, like at Glee Factor, we work a lot around building psychological safety and the behaviors and the skills that help us build psychological safety to collaborate and create better is around like soft skills. But that is actually my question, and this is actually my challenge that in today's world and today's teams, and leadership, we've always been told that hard skills are extremely important and that soft skills are not important. We've been pushed aside, especially as female professionals, like this is not what, how can leaders create this shift now that everything, because everything that you mentioned, curiosity, ongoing learning, critical thinking, analytical thinking, influence and emotional intelligence is everything that World Economic Forum is just saying that for 2030, those are the skills. But I see this paradox within teams that how can we just all of a sudden say that this is what's important? The
Right.
hard skills, so many of them, maybe it's going to be done by
Right.
like AI.
The way I look at it, Nogol, is I return back to the same point I made. Focus on outcome. So you need to focus on outcome. You need to focus on the objectives that you have defined for your team versus the way that you are achieving it. So you can't force one way over the other one because this way you are praising, like for instance, as a leader, I come and say whoever works over hours over the weekend and like 10 hours versus 8 or work on vacations, if that's a criteria for me to say this is an employee who is productive, this is wrong, right? Versus to say, I don't mind you working 4, 5, whatever hours per day, but you finish what you need to do. And I praise that to say now the remaining time that you have, go and do research, go and work on a sandbox projects and do on like more innovation for yourself, right? This is like a more stand for a tech company, but for small businesses, probably the same. So the point is that, for instance, whoever I talk to, I'm asking them or advising them to kind of go big on the content creation, especially for small businesses. This key lead generation is come hand to hand to content. And I'm asking the team of, if you are augmenting your team, if we are helping your team to have more bandwidth, guess what? Ask them to focus on the other areas. So the outcome they would achieve doesn't matter how. They might leverage an AI, they might be smart on now critical thinking. My team is very thin right now because we have AI engineers. So the way that AI pair programming now works, it just makes the whole development much easier to do if you can delegate better. So to me, it's more around the mindset. The mindset of people, the mindset of leaders should be outcome driven versus output driven. And you need to set the right success criteria, because if you define the metrics wrong, if you praise more hour work or building more features versus selling more in the market, the product in the market that shows actually the viability of your product. So you are praising the wrong criteria and metrics. And to me, then you might get stuck. You might get stuck on hard skills. Then you see that, oh, you can't sell your product. Then you wouldn't question that, oh, maybe then the positioning, human connection, understanding the behavior of our users is not wrong, but we might need more features. And then you might come and ask for more features because now you are thinking on an insecurity cycle,
Yes.
and you want to compensate that with those hard skills that will create
And
more
also
features,
wrong
right?
mindset too. Your wrong mindset,
Exactly.
constantly focusing on hard skill.
Yeah,
So,
and I think that needs to be very clearly communicated to your team, and you need to trust and validate as well, because there might be, so those type of cultures are takes time to happen. Not every single company, as you, again, you are a master there, I'm not, I'm just like talking about my experience. Not every company gonna be Netflix from day first, right? They have like unlimited, vacation, unlimited sick leave, no policy, no certain process, etc. But they have worked on it for many years. They have built a culture that people, it's just trustworthy, and that everything is based on the trust. And that takes time. That takes alignment among leadership team. That takes the wrong decisions at the board, defining the right metrics, defining the right objectives, defining the right outcome for the company, and then transferring and communicating this very clearly and transparently and directly with your team. And that the team, again, you try to also build that culture of the, your team, and the culture of your team gonna be culture of your department, and so forth. Again, you are master there, you know better. To me, outcome driven mindset, it's gonna help you with this, getting stuck in the harder skill part, or again, the previous mindset versus now that we need to actually delegate more, to AI, achieve your goal, surprise us with the way that you achieve your goal. That's the best way to encourage your employees to actually take the chance. It's like a child, right? I have two kids. I see how they learn. It's very costly for parents when they learn.
yes,
But that's
exactly.
exactly the way they learn. They are not afraid to make mistakes.
Yes. But I mean, that means that psychological safety is extremely important
Correct.
in building these cultures where, like, experimentation, making mistakes, trying out new things, and actually trusting the AI that has been built, trusting each other, trusting the client, like all of that. I just want to talk to you about next scale, because with, like, I think that, do you think this is actually the idea that I have, that with companies and with the support of companies like yours, small medium businesses will have a great opportunity to shine in the future of work because of the accessibility that at the beginning you talked about? What do you think of that?
Sure. Honestly, this is my goal. The goal is that there has been and still is a lot of attention to tech companies who are equipped with the experts on that domain, or large enterprises, or scale-ups who have money and, again, the technical team to leverage all this technological advancement. And now when it comes to the small businesses who are actually running the economy of our countries, they are not ready. They don't have tech teams. They barely have IT teams. And now we say, and I, like, with the PhD in cloud computing, I'm staying here and saying, well, go and leverage AI. Like, it's so selfish for me to say that, because it's the way that I perceive it is very different than another person to perceive it, if they don't have technical team, if they don't have IT team, if they don't have technical background. So then that's the promise of companies like NexScale, and probably there will be many other companies down there, and it's great. Actually, it's a great business to have. The way I see is that AI is accessible, AI is out there. You can leverage AI. You can set yourself for a scale in a very optimum way. So if you, by the way, I mainly target companies that they have a scale mindset. If they are just survival, they don't want to just like grow, they want to stay as like that, we don't have that much of conversation to make. But if you want to scale, but you want to scale smartly, there are solutions out there like us, that we come to you and we understand your problem. The focus, I'm a product person at the end. The best way that a product person can approach a problem is to understand the why, what's the problem, and the how is like down the road. It's not the fact that we start with the technology and I brag about the, all the advancement of the technology that you can put on a pitch deck and show your board or show your customers. No, it's around the fact that, okay, what's your problem? What are the areas that are bottlenecking your business? Let's understand that pains and let's see which of those can be resolved by AI agents. And I am also a big believer of vertical AI agents. What does it mean? Means that they need to be integrated with your domain specific workflow. There is no generic tool that can honestly do very practical work for you. So you can leverage ChatGPT as a very shallow level in your organization or in your company, but then it comes to get things done. No, it's just like insights that is offered. So now what do I do with that insights? You need to leverage those, and as I mentioned, that's the difference between AI agents. So vertical AI agents customized to your business, that gives you the ability to have minimum change management. Change management is key for a smart business, small businesses in my view. If they can handle that change management, if they can onboard their team, their customers, their users, their management and leadership team with that very minimum change management that they would need to embrace that technology, then they would be successful. And that's the promise that we do. So we come with them as a partner. We are not just like down somebody that can bring a technology and leave them alone. We understand the problem, we find, prioritize the one that are bottleneck, and then we'll see which one will be great to be delegated to AI, and we build that customized AI automation for them, and we manage their services afterwards. The fact is, like, they have like a fractional tech team that we would offer. CTO. It's like a fractional CTO that you would have, and then a fractional IT team that you would have. So you don't need to build those teams. Those teams are expensive to build, and you might not be able to manage them effectively given maybe the periodic need of your company for those tech skills, and it might be very costly. So that's like the way that we handle. We get that managed service run by ourselves, and we try to revisit this operation and this automation regularly, because your AI agents this quarter might need more love next quarter because there might be some nuances in your business.
That's actually very exciting. So with that in mind, Soodeh, thank you so much for just, because, like, even for me, like, it's so many new things, so many new vision. So with that in mind, the work that you do and like the companies like NexScale, if we look at 2035, how do you see teams and team cultures? Like, how does it look like?
If I hear you right, because you cut off, you said in 10 years, how would be the combination of teams look like, right? The composition of teams, in my view.
Yeah.
Let me think. The way I see, to me, that the teams are thinner, very focused on collaboration with their partners or agents, AI agents. So it's a very collaborative path. By the way, it depends on the team. So if you look at let's start from it. Depends on the team. If you look at the support team, I would say it might be the majority, almost all the end-to-end process would be delegated to their partners, and the escalation comes to humans, right? So if you look at the sales, it might be a lot of touch points that would be delegated, then the escalation might come to the human. But if you come to development team, the same, but it's like a more, I see it as a pair kind of dual, that they'll work together as a kind of pair, AI and human, to be able to be effective. Again, depends on the team. To me, leadership team gonna stay as leadership team. They are just the ones that are very savvy in terms of, again, leveraging technology, very strong on soft skills and analytics mind, critical thinking, and that transformation mindset. Those are like, depends on the team. I see a very big collaboration path coming to us, and again, our partner. So this partner, it's like very, it's not a general partner, by the way. I don't see similar to ChatGPT to be everywhere and then it's gonna be like, I would see specialized sales agents, AI agents, specialized customer service AI agents. I see specialized AI agents as developers, right? So very specialized, vertically focused on that. So they are master of that domain expertise that you have or technical fluency that they would need. And then they pair with humans for validation, verification, escalation, brainstorming probably. This is the way I imagine it.
Wow, I love it. I have to say that I love this world. Like humans get to be more humans and
Yeah,
machines.
they're gonna do much more. I count down for that moment to have more bandwidth and
Yes,
do much more things that I have planned to do, but I can't squeeze it in this
because of
24 hours that I
yes,
have per
I
day.
love it. Thank you so much, Soodeh. We're going to finish with like some series of rapid questions. Obviously, we just passed our 30 minutes, but it was such an engaging conversation that I couldn't stop it. But we want to finish with a few questions that I believe we have already answered. AI in the workplace, more exciting, confusing, or concerning?
Absolutely exciting for me.
Exciting, for sure. More important in a future leader? We already also answered that. Emotional intelligence or technical fluency?
Emotional intelligence. Again, big believer
Intelligence.
in soft skills.
Awesome. Perfect. One job you think in organizations today that won't likely exist in 10 years? You already talked about like sales representative, like customer support. Are these the things that you think that probably will be somehow replaced by machines?
The way I see it, Nogol, is I wouldn't say this job or that job. I would say a big spectrum of any jobs that you can imagine will be replaced by AI. If this spectrum is very big, like if there are like 80% coverage by AI, then that job will be transformed to another job that is more a supervisor of the AI, right? This
Yes.
is the way it's like. Imagine now on the factories, there are a lot of robots working, right? So you don't need to have to say that was replaced. Yeah, but then the supervisor is there to supervise all those robots for escalation or for those problems. So I'd like our audience to look at it like this, that any like big portion of their jobs that are related to manual work, scheduling, data entry, and data manipulation probably will be replaced by their companion and their partner, like AI agents. And then they need to work on the other sides that would be validation, making sure that the AI doesn't hallucinate. They are a big part of the hallucination that the humans are the ones catching those, right?
Perfect. Awesome. Let me just see the next one. Who makes a better small talk, humans or AI?
I see human. To me, small talks is not just around exchanging words. To me, it's like you get the very subtle cues in a small talk. You understand the person say I'm
Nuances.
fine, but it's not fine, and then you dig into that. I would say AI has like way big time to get there because our perception of all those five senses is way more advanced than AI right now. So, and I would say I absolutely enjoy deep and caring small talks with humans.
Oh my god, love that. And one last one. One human skill you hope machines will never replace.
That's a hard one. I'm very optimistic, Noble. I would say if again AI got all that senses right, five senses that we have, that would be good for me to say, okay, now, well, I don't wish anything. But to me, maybe moral judgment. I thought about this at some point. I would say moral judgment. I would like that to stay with human because the manipulation, the hallucination, those are the things that uh, it's hard to judge with AI. So that I would love to stay at least for a good enough time to make sure that we have a good partners with us.
With us. Student, where can people find you to learn more about all this great work and this great vision? You know, I have to say that it's very interesting to see a dedicated tech founder who's this much human centered, talking about the future of work. It's very exciting and nice balance between AI and human, the world that you envision. And I have to say that it's very beautiful and it's very hopeful.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm active in LinkedIn as Soodeh Farokhi. Feel free to follow me. And if you have conversations to make, I'd love coffee chats for, especially if it comes that I can help your business to scale, or even look at it as I do a discovery with you and advise you on the areas that you need to focus. What would be your next best step? I would love to help you. So reach out to me either on LinkedIn or nextscale.ai is our website that you can also reach out to us.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Soodeh, for this great conversation. Sorry for that 15 minutes lead time, just figuring out the new platform and everything. Thanks a lot for being with me and for sharing all this wisdom and insights. Very grateful.
I enjoyed the conversation. Thank you so
Thanks
much.
a lot.
And
Thank you so
hopefully
much,
your
everyone.
audience had a great time as well. Bye, everyone.
Thanks. Bye
Bye,
bye.
Nogol. Bye-bye.